Hello, welcome everyone to the Trauma Triple Take. My name is Margaret, and I have my co-hosts here with me, Amber and Mel. We're coming at you live. So tonight we have a very exciting topic. I'm going to let Mel introduce it here in a second. But as always, first we want to go over our legal disclaimer. So the views and opinions expressed on Trauma Triple Take are those of the hosts and guests and do not constitute professional, medical, psychological, or legal advice. This podcast is for informational and entertainment purposes only. If you are experiencing a medical or mental health crisis, please contact the National Crisis Hotline at 988 or your local emergency services. Listener discretion is advised as some episodes may contain sensitive subject matter, including discussions of trauma, abuse, and mental health challenges. By listening, you acknowledge that you do so at your own discretion. And again, that number is 988. So with that, I'm going to go ahead and hand it over to Mel to talk about our topic for tonight.
Absolutely. So there's been a lot of conversation around the movie Obsession, and we all kind of thought, Amber mainly too, the best way to kind of bring that in was to talk about Obsession as a whole and kind of incorporate the movie Obsession into that conversation, because there is a lot to talk about in that movie and around feelings of obsession in general. So Amber, did you have anything in particular that you wanted to talk about directly relating to the movie right now?
Totally so I mean, I didn't do we want to talk about the morality part of it? Because
let's talk about
morality. I think part of it, I think it's okay. First, I think we should address that he is obsessed. He's the one that's actually obsessed, and he thinks that he is in love and wants her to love him, but it's actually I don't consider that love. If you're taking away somebody's free will and you're wishing for them to love you more than anybody else in the world, that's that would be obsession, and it's not love. It's not something that you would do healthfully. I don't know.
Question. So for somebody who hasn't seen this movie yet, doesn't have any idea what we're talking about, what are we talking about?
Good question. Do you want so the movie Obsession is a horror movie that's been exploding in its numbers. It's doing, I don't know, creating a lot of talk for good reason. And it's about a group of 4 friends who, one boy, the main boy, Bear, has a crush, or he thinks he's in love with his friend. Oh my gosh, what's her name?
Nikki.
How could I forget that freaking Nikki? And so he goes to this supernatural, holistic kind of store, and he gets a wishing willow. And so you get one wish, and you make the wish, and then you break it in half, and it supposedly comes true. And so he does that and wishes. His words are literally, I wish Nikki loved me more than any other person in the world.
Yeah.
Well, in the effing world. But, which right off the bat is very concerning, because even if you like somebody, why would you want them to love you more than anybody else in the world? I mean, think about parents, future kids, that's so selfish in itself. And of course you got to think did he probably think it wasn't going to work? Probably, yeah.
Absolutely.
Most of us would not think it would work. But apparently it did in the movie, and then it just kind of spirals out of control with her because she ultimately gets kind of stuck in there. She's possessed, acting like she loves him, but it's purely the spell or the the wish that did it. So it's not her willingly being with him,
Yeah.
and creates kind of like a prison in her own body.
Which is wild to witness.
Yeah.
But also, okay, I gotta go back to the love you in the whole world thing. Just to play devil's advocate, I think all of us at some point in our lives have been like, I wish this person would love me more than anyone else in the world.
I feel like
Yes, very true.
I agree, but I feel like it's pretty juvenile. Like,
For
I
sure.
mean, like it's definitely more of like a teenage thing to do.
But we're also talking about somebody that can't even get up the goal to actually ask her out, even when
Right.
she straight up asks him.
Oh, that part
Right.
frustrated me because
Right?
like she literally asks you and you are a coward and then you go and make that wish. Like,
But it's so weird how love in general does those things to people, right? Like
it does.
that beginning portion of like having a crush on someone and just like finding out if they like you but not really knowing, and like that tension around it and the angst that happens, like
Yeah.
there is just something absolutely unique about that experience that is
Very
universal
true.
in itself, but it's unique
Yeah.
about that specific time frame. And
Yeah.
it does create like that limerence and that feeling of like, oh, this is just amazing. Like the
It
Yeah.
is.
possibilities, like they're
Right.
palpable. And you just want so badly to believe in that idea. I could totally
Mm-hmm.
see in the beginning, especially if you didn't believe that the wishing willow was going to work. Because let's be honest, that marketing made it look like it was not going to happen.
Yeah.
But
Right.
the box looks like it's been around since the 50s. Like, okay. But no, I think that it's completely up until that specific moment. I'm like, okay, you have some level of like, yeah, sure, you're immature and you won't own up to it, but there's still some level of like, you're in that weird crush phase. Okay,
I
you're too
know.
nervous to say anything.
Big
After
doe
that,
eyes.
what?
I just said big doe eyes, just all infatuated with
Mhm.
somebody.
But after that, absolutely not. Like,
Yeah.
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 you knew something was weird and you went
Yeah.
for it anyway.
Yeah.
But
hmm
I'm curious what you think about it, Margaret. Like, did you get that kind of vibe too? Like, that it was okay up until that beginning portion was over and then it's just started unraveling?
I feel like so my opinion of the movie was just a little bit different. Like I thought that so I got where the main character was coming from, right? So just to paint the scene for you, if you haven't watched it, this guy is sitting there, he's desperate, he really loves this girl or thinks he loves this girl, and he finds this, like you said, this wishing willow thing. He makes this wish and breaks it, thinking nothing is going to come of it, and now all of a sudden all of his wishes come true in kind of sinister ways. So I think it's kind of one of those things like don't necessarily like be careful what you wish for because you just might get it. It's that
Mhm.
of like that's exactly what you wanted and you got it. I think in kind of like a woo woo manifestation type way, like I think part of those rules do apply where you do have to be specific about what you want in life because being very vague can be kind of like not what you want. But then as far as the obsession and the romance, but it's not really romance part of it, I don't know. I think it's unhealthy. I think that once the girl, falls under this spell and she starts doing the typical like crazy girl like behaviors, such as calling him a million times, leaving him a million text messages and voicemails and all of these things, kind of plays on those tropes that a lot of women get in relationships with emotionally immature men, where they're labeled as the crazy woman for wanting communication and basic decency in a relationship. So that part of the movie, I was just kind of like, oh, here's the crazy girl again. But also then once you start seeing the more sinister pieces and you see the regret on his face and how he like just wants her to be normal, just wants her to be this idealized version that he had planned in his brain this whole time. And you see that like crumbling. I think that's like a very interesting kind of take. And yeah, it all ends up blowing up in his face essentially. And not to ruin the movie, but like it doesn't work out. So yeah, I thought it was a very interesting thing.
I'm just curious. Okay, have you guys never, even in your teenage years, okay? Because I equate this to very much like teenage vibes from both of them. When she's
Totally
like possessed or whatever you want to call it, overcome with this love, like it very much reminds me of that young teenage romance where you're just like completely not in control of your feelings or your hormones.
Yes.
But I'm like, haven't you guys ever done something as a teenager where you're like, okay, that
totally.
Yeah. Weird.
Yes, totally. Nobody gave me the rule book of how to act like a normal person with my first handful of romantic experiences. That's for sure.
Absolutely not. Absolutely not. And it's really awkward, like learning through that phase. But they're definitely old enough that they should know better. Have you guys experienced that as an adult? Like any of the weird behavior?
I'm sure I have, but I can't place it. I'm sure I have. Ex-lovers, let me know in the chat.
If you're watching.
I'm sure I have. Yeah. I'm sure I have. I don't know. I think we're all fools in love. I think that people, it's like they say, like, love is blind. I think in a lot of ways that's true, where things that you would normally do with a more rational brain, you don't, because you're so infatuated with the person. Not to be like weird, but I'm lucky that the person I was infatuated with was just as infatuated with me and even more so in a lot of ways. So yeah, I don't know. It's been so long now.
Lucky.
So long.
I definitely was as a teenager. And it was always like I had a lot of guy friends, and I feel like it would always be one of them at some point in time that I had a huge crush on, and I was just like, oh my gosh, like, but I never said anything, like, I was just in my own head about it, and probably, I probably would have done one of those stupid wishing willow things.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah, it's no
I probably
different
did
than
do
the
something stupid.
Loves me, he loves me not.
Yeah.
If he looks at me while he walks by, that means it's happening.
Now that I'm thinking about it, I might have even done some stupid little spell thing that, like, so I guess I can't. But yeah, I was a teenager. I know, stupid. You just get so infatuated. You get so in your feelings about everything as a teenager. Like, everything is so extreme, whether it's good or bad or, everything, it just feels like so intense.
Yeah.
I would say even up into your mid to
like
early 20s.
Yeah. It takes a while, I think, before you kind of can get your sea legs about you with like adult romantic relationships. Like, because I picture like Sex in the City, for example, right? Like, you see Carrie. I honestly didn't follow the show all that closely, but from what I know, or Friends or whatever other show, right? Like, there's these various romantic like rendezvous and like, oh, and I just, this and this and this, and then like she just keeps getting like led on by Big, right? And like it's just, I don't know. I see a lot of that now, especially with social media, like we've talked about with the loneliness episode, where people try and reach out for connection and are ghosted, or you find out after talking to the person for a couple months that they have like a bunch of other people on the side. So yeah, it's tough. And I think obsession can definitely play a role in that sometimes, when you're like really into the other person and maybe it's not reciprocal. Yeah,
absolutely. Well, and it also can go into this whole other side where your obsession becomes even more like past the boundary line, right? When we get into like stalking, or when we get into like, what is it? Family annihilators, that kind of thing, where they're like, I know that's kind of messed up, we went a real weird direction for that. But
It's okay.
it gets to a place where you're like, where the person's like, if I can't have it, nobody can. Like,
Yeah.
it almost
Yeah.
goes to that level sometimes. And like, stalking is incredibly creepy. Like, I mean, I can see how people fall into that pattern, but like, the level of delusion I feel like that it takes to get there is really interesting psychologically. Like, how do we get to a place where you are completely blind to your obsession and you somehow flip the narrative around to be back to where you're the victim in that like Darvo situation?
Mhm.
But I just don't. Have you guys ever dealt with stalking at all, and like that flip of the script and like how it can just suddenly be like, wait, what? How did this
Yeah.
happen?
Yeah. Not that I don't think I've ever been personally stalked, but my sister was in middle school, and I remember it scared. I mean, it was scary. Like it was somebody she went to school with, like, and this boy just had a crush on her and would like, I don't know. I can't even remember all the creepy things he would text her, but it was like he was watching her, and I don't remember how it ended. Like, he must have just ended up leaving her alone. I don't think she had to get a restraining order or anything. And then my cousin, who, when she was in high school, she got stalked by an ex, and that she had to get a restraining order because he was like sitting outside of her work, and he was taking pictures. He would take pictures of like a gun he had, and like very threatening,
Gee,
like, and it was definitely along those lines of like, if I can't have you, nobody can. And it got really scary. We were actually all really scared for her because, I mean, when you're like showing guns and you're outside your work, and that's terrifying. And as much as restraining orders are there to help, it's ultimately a piece of paper like that. If you are really that crazy, you're not necessarily going to care about. And I want to say that he broke it, and then uh they had to like do another, like, something else. It was a long time ago, but that one was scarier for sure because we were just all kind of worried about her, and we were all kind of like our family would, go kind of hang out at her work and stuff sometimes just to make sure everything was good. But yeah, so that's craziness. And
Yeah,
I've
no.
that's
never
really scary.
stalked anybody. Mostly when I was
Just
when
say I've never stalked anybody mostly.
when I was
It all comes out.
when I was a teenager and I had those crushes. I mean, I would sometimes like drive an extra way just to drive by somebody's house,
Oh, okay. Yeah.
but I wouldn't like go like sit outside. I was just like, oh, maybe they'll be outside, and like, so I mean, I did that, but
It's like, what are you gonna do if they were outside? You're not gonna like
leave.
pull over, like
I might, well, because
over there.
it it was usually somebody that I knew, like I was friends with or something.
No, 100%.
But yeah,
No, it's interesting. Like, I don't know. I feel like it's almost more acceptable as a teenager to stalk than it is as an adult. Is that messed up? I feel like that might be a little fucked up. But
well,
No, I don't think it's that. I think it's just that, like, again, your prefrontal cortex isn't fully developed until you're 25. So I feel like you really
exactly.
can't understand like the weirdness of your actions, if I were to
Hmm.
say it that way. I mean, I definitely had a couple people that I was talking to in high school and before high school where they gave me their home phone number, and I might have called 20 times or something at some points. Not leaving any voicemails. I mean, it's happened. We've all done it. Well, I'm not going to say we've all done it. I've done it. And I know I'm not alone. So I know
Yeah,
better now. I would not do anything like that nowadays. But
right.
yeah,
You know you're
yeah,
not alone though.
exactly.
Did you
Yeah,
know
not
there's
alone.
sorry. I was just gonna say, did you know there's different types of stalking?
No, tell us about that.
Yeah, I want to say there's 5 different types of stalking. But they basically all stem from different things. So The first one I want to say is like, I can't go into a ton of detail on each one, but one is like a rejection stalker. So, or the rejected stalker. So, like, it's after the relationship ends. Another one is somebody, it's like that delusion one that I was talking about where they become, it's around intimacy stalking. Like, they become so fixated on the person and like think that they're destined to be with them or something like that, where they end up just creating a delusion around it. Um, and then there's one that is like an angry stalker or a resentful stalker. So they're looking just specifically to like get back at you for something. And then, sorry about my cat, won't stop. Then there's like the predatory stalker, which is more like your your run of the mill rapist. I hate to say that, but something along those lines. And then there's one more. It's like somebody that it's all around the, they don't have the, it's like a what are they called? Oh my gosh. The guys, the incels. It's like that.
Oh,
It's a type of like incel where they feel so rejected from society, like that they also can't get it, that they end up obsessing over the person. But like they all fall into different categories and motivations for why they do the specific stalking behavior, and how you kind of like work with each of those behaviors in order to like actually address the problem that they're working with or trying to work with if they hopefully go to therapy. But yeah, there's quite a few different kinds. You know, the more that I think about it, there's quite a few different kinds of a lot of things.
Yeah.
Like, it's never just this is what it is.
Definitely.
yeah, exactly.
Because even while you were talking about that, I was thinking how, I had said I've never been stalked that I know of. But then I was thinking about my previous relationship where in the beginning, like it was a very toxic relationship and it was, he literally would tell me that he was obsessed with me in the beginning. It was kind of like that love bombing and stuff. But then like once I started, because I was like really independent, kind of like hung out with a bunch of different people, did my own thing, like, and that bothered him. But he didn't come out and say that. It was like there was a night where I was hanging out at one of my friends' houses and he knew I was there, like, and he knew her, like, and yeah, we were busy talking and I don't know, I almost said his name. He had called me and I think when I finally heard the phone call, I checked my phone and he had called me like 20 times, like literally, like one after the other, like just nonstop. And then like I think he had left me some voicemails that were like, "What are you doing? Like why like aren't you answering your phone?" And so even though it's not like traditional stalking, there were definitely parts of that relationship where um it's like he had to know where I was, or same with my sister when she was in a bad relationship. Like she would actually have to take, if she was out with friends, she would have to take pictures of where she was at to prove where she was. So again, I don't know if that's considered stalking, but
Yeah,
it just reminded me of it. It like you said, it's not all clear cut. It's very, there's different kinds of everything, and so
Absolutely.
my mind just kind of went there of those types of things also.
It's so weird how that ends up happening. And like I feel like I don't know. I personally, until I read about this, I had no idea that there was different types of stalking. And I just was like, oh yeah, all stalking behavior is the same. If you're a stalker, you're a stalker.
right? Yeah, it's interesting.
Well, and sure, I noticed there were differences in like the stalking, but I just thought it was all stalking. I didn't realize that there would be different like approaches to how you might handle each different one. Because they all have a
Yeah.
different like core issue. So
Right.
you'd want to handle each one separately. But yeah, no,
I wonder if we could find like that resource like in a accessible form that we could post on our feed, just to like help other people who might be experiencing that or who might know somebody who's experiencing that. Because just like with DV, with addiction, with a lot of these big kind of umbrella issues, if it's not you, it's probably somebody that you know, and you may not know that it's somebody that you know. So just having some resources available for people to access should and if they need it, I think would be really cool. Yeah. And I just did also want to, I guess I'm feeling a little vulnerable right now. So I want to just be honest about that. But I want to also like speak truth about this and kind of I want to tell people my experience with stalking. So somebody in my family both like stalked me and somebody else in my family, and then also had me as like a participant in that as well. So this person, so person A, person B. Okay. So person A was in a relationship that was toxic, abusive, emotionally, financially, especially. And that person wanted to get a job. That person wanted to have a way to generate some kind of income for themselves. So that person decided to go work at a restaurant. Person B was the abuser in the situation and was very unhappy, let's say, about that. And so, amongst verbal threats and intimidation and a lot of other things that I witnessed, another piece of that was showing up to the job. And a lot of times I would be in the car with the person, and we would sit out there the duration of this person's shift. Headlights shone into the restaurant. And there would be all sorts of berating happening after the shift happened, was over. So that's one example. Same person, same pair of people. I was with person A. We had taken some classes to learn how to dance, and had finally gotten to a place where we could participate in a little like group dance off type situation. And so person B had found out about it somehow and arrived at the place unannounced, uninvited, and made an entire spectacle in front of everybody that was there. And it was really scary. Both of those situations, I was about 10. And I just remember feeling terrified, terrified. I didn't understand why person A couldn't have a job. I didn't understand why person B was so upset. And I didn't understand a lot. And now, even as an adult, it doesn't 100% make sense to me. I do realize that there's some, like, we talk about narcissism, but like some narcissistic tendencies for person B. And I understand the dynamic there and how hard it must have been to navigate that relationship. But yeah, it's really tough. And then growing up as as an adult, then trying to, as a teenager, navigating relationships, that's obviously not perfect. And then trying to learn what kind of relationships deserve your attention and your devotion, and how much devotion is appropriate and how much is not, is really sticky and hard to navigate. Thankfully for me, in my relationships, I won't say thankfully, but I didn't end up in a relationship like the one that I witnessed. So that was good. But yeah, it's weird.
Yeah, that had to be so scary as like a 10-year-old not really understand. I mean, you kind of know, right? Like you know something's weird, but you also have absolutely no say in what's happening and no sense of control in that situation. And like, what are you going to do? Right. And so I can only imagine what it would be like to be a participant in that and the discomfort around it. Like that would be so uncomfortable.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it sucked. Yeah. And then there was a third instance. I was younger though. I don't remember what age specifically I was, but person A had wanted to attend some like religious, like prayer type, meeting. My family grew up very religious, and that was also um, something that was weaponized a lot. And so person A had felt really desperate in a couple instances and wanted to reach out for spiritual support. Person B didn't like that. Person B found out where person A and I were, and person B tried to run us off the road with their vehicle.
Wow.
So
that's horrifying.
there's a lot.
Yeah. There's a lot to unpack there.
Thank you for sharing all that. That's
sorry.
A lot.
That's a little trauma dumpy.
That's what we're here for. Like I mean,
people to share
what we're here for. But yeah, thank you for sharing that. That is a lot, and I can't imagine just that viewpoint too of being a child is important to bring into the conversation, I think. Yeah, just I can't imagine how horrifying that would be on so many different levels, and just
and behavior like that also like can created a feeling of unsafe, like not safe, in a lot of situations. So like, for example, I'm really close with my sister, and I, because of the agreements between people and whose time was with who and all of these things, if you catch my feel, I like missed her wedding, and it was, this person's been married for like 20 plus years. They're obviously going to stay married. There's no situation in which I can get that time back or that experience back. And part of that, all of that makes me really sad, because these person's actions affected a lot of people, not just them and the direct person they were obsessed with. It affected a lot of people in the periphery, and it just makes really sad now, having missed out on a lot of experiences because of their behavior.
Absolutely. Well, and I'm curious how you ended up moving, like in what ways did it show up as an adult or as you were growing up? Do you feel like it carried through, and what did you kind of have to do to overcompensate for that, or like to kind of rectify the issue in your own experience?
Yeah, so that same person was also in a lot of ways obsessed with me as well. So it was a lot of like control of where I am, who I'm with, who I'm speaking to, what's going on with me, which was it's very blurred. It's very like, it's very hard to communicate what that was like, because in a lot of ways, I know this person really loves me, but it was very difficult to navigate. So when I was a teenager, a lot of that obsession kind of pulled back a little bit, because they found a new avenue for their obsession, a new person. So as I grew up in adolescence and early adulthood, it got better. And then now it's little to nothing, which is also weird. Because when I had a child, I assumed that this obsession would then be fixated on my child. And that was not the case. It was much more the opposite. So it's been very weird over the last, decade or two, to kind of like take this really wild behavior and now juxtapose it to a very different kind of behavior. Thankfully, in my relationships, like I said, teenage me was kind of clingy for sure, and I definitely have an anxious attachment style. But I've earned a lot of secure attachment through a lot of the work that I've done, so that's good. And I think I showed a lot of that anxiety earlier on in my relationship with my husband, of like wanting to know where he's at and what's going on and all the things. But it had less to do with obsession and more to do with just like my own insecurity of feeling alone and not wanting to be alone. So.
Well, and I'm curious, when you mentioned that, I do think it ties into this sense of okay, I'm going to back up a little bit. When I think about the like obsessive calling, right? Because I also used to like checking in, right? I used to do that a lot when I was younger. And a lot of it had to do with this sense of like, for sure, the insecurity, but also needing to know that I was like in the know of everything, right? Like I wanted to make sure that for me personally in that time frame, I wanted to make sure that I didn't miss anything. Like it almost went to a like control space, and I don't know if that's similar for you, but I find that that can be kind of a balance with anxious attachment. Like sometimes it has to do with controlling the narrative of what's going on. Sometimes it has to do with your insecurity and inability to sit with that discomfort of potentially being abandoned in that situation. And then sometimes it's almost a preventative measure to ensure that you know whatever is going to happen next in that like sense of safety.
Yeah, I think it was more that for me of just like I trust my partner and whatever they're doing, and I never really had any kind of like issue or doubt there. For me it was just more like about like what's going to happen next, what's the plan, just so that I can more prepare. Like my biggest thing, and we talked about it like in previous episodes, is like I just wanted to know when they're coming home. Like, so I don't really care like what you're doing, who you're with, what's going on, like that's fine, have fun. But just like when are you coming home, so I know when to anticipate that. So that's pretty much.
And I would like to add too that sometimes other people, I don't want to say people make us feel a specific way. Like we're all responsible for our feelings, right? Like in our emotions. But there is a level of participation in relationships where I feel like the other person isn't being considerate of your feelings either. Like they're being intentionally ambiguous or even just even unintentionally ambiguous, but it's still like if they know it bothers you, but then you're trying to set some like middle ground, right? So you're not being obsessive, but they're not willing to meet you anywhere near it. And like that can be so hard to deal with sometimes, like and feeling like you're not crazy and trying to establish that. You're like, but okay, is this a normal level of expectation or am I being too much? Or is this like they're not doing enough of their part? Like, where's that line? And I could see so easily how, I don't know, I got a little on a tangent, but it's around.
I get what you mean, like how it gets blurred. And I think it's that thing in relationships where there has to be that give and take, right? Like, I can't set a boundary saying you have to let me know where you're going to be. That's not a boundary. That's a command, a demand.
That's control.
That's weird. Yeah, that's weird. But you could make a request and you would hope that your partner is considerate, or, is acquiescing to the request, right? Like, and if they don't, then that's something that you can say like, okay, well, how am I going to handle that? And that's, I think, where the boundary is of like, is this something that warrants me freaking out over, or do I trust my partner? I'm okay with the situation and they just forgot. Like that's the biggest thing, is like you're just probably having fun. And so it's not malicious, it's just it's okay. And really how that healed within me was just again just being like learning to be okay with myself and knowing that like my husband's going to come home. Like he's coming home when he's coming home. And like I said, now I enjoy the silence, but it's just like learning to be okay with whatever that is for you. I don't know how to word that.
No, I totally get that. Go ahead, Amber. Were you going to say something?
No, I was just saying I know what you.
Okay.
I know
I,
what you mean.
I was like, me and Margaret are playing, table tennis over here.
I know,
Just
sorry.
back and forth. I
Let's
didn't want
volley
to miss
it over.
you. But no, I was just gonna say, when I was younger, I used to like really struggle with. I can't wait till we do an episode on boundaries. This is gonna be the best episode I feel like ever once we get there. But I used to really struggle with the like not knowing where somebody was or knowing what somebody was doing, and a lot of it had to do with the fact that I had been cheated on in a previous relationship. But I would dare say that there were parts in my young 20s where I was obsessive in certain areas. Like, I wanted to know where you were. I wanted to know what you were doing. I wanted to know what time you would be home. Like, because it made me feel like I had some sense of importance in your life, I guess, is the right way to put it.
Like you
But
being considered.
yes. And like that you weren't just I'm sure it had to stem from some abandonment issues too, but I was so worried about like this idea that I was going to be left suddenly, right? And obviously I wasn't conscious about it at the time, but it definitely created some obsessive behaviors. And I think that a lot of people are just unaware sometimes of how their need to not feel abandoned can, or their need to not feel shame, or their need to not be rejected can switch that into an obsession so easily. And
Yeah.
you not even realize the railroad track that you're on. Like,
Yeah.
you're just zooming away with it.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, and I think you made a really good point too earlier about limerence. For those of you who don't know, it's kind of like this. I don't have the textbook definition in front of me, but from what I know about it, it's like that obsessive quality of a romantic relationship where you just cannot stop thinking about them. You are just obsessed with them, quite literally. And I think that's a good piece to bring up kind of in that same thing of like that anxious attachment too, because it can kind of get you carried away. Again, you're not thinking logically and you're just wrapped up in the emotion, and that just will take you, you know. Yeah, that's like a huge, and that can be even scary too. Looking back and being like, "Oh my God, you know, what did I do?" Yeah.
Well, and I think that there's probably like with those 5 types of stalking, I feel like there is probably some that veer towards avoidant attachment and others that veer towards like anxious attachment or disorganized attachment, but
Yeah.
or fearful avoidant. Sorry, they're 2 different schools of thought. Whatever.
Yeah,
But
right.
anyway, it is interesting to see how the 2 different types play out. Like, for avoidance, you're probably going to have rejection sensitivity, and you're probably going to be more likely on the revenge, like retaliation side. And I feel like the other 3 would be more likely to be the anxious or fearful avoidance side, just because it is so easy for people in that limerence phase where it's like, I think it turns all red flags into beige flags for everybody involved.
Totally.
Beige.
Right? Like, well, because you're like, oh, I don't really see anything. Like, it's not that bad. This is just fine. It's just because I don't know them well enough. Or like you make all these
Yeah.
it's the rose-colored glasses part of the relationship. And where we all have beige flags. But I feel like it completely wipes out any sense of reality because you just get so caught up in this idea of like, oh, I can't be abandoned. I can't feel this sense of insecurity again. Like because it becomes a knife wound instead of just a temporary moment in a lifetime.
Yeah. I'm wondering, I don't want to put you on the spot, Amber, but I just want to check in with you and see what thoughts you have or what are you doodling on?
Um, I was just thinking, like, again, going back to my previous relationship, a previous relationship. It was the first serious relationship I had ever been in. So he was very, you know, he's definitely like high on narcissistic scale tendencies, whatever. So there was definitely like the love bombing and just like I said, he would literally say like I'm obsessed with you and like but he wanted to know where I was and what I was doing, who I was hanging out with all the time, but it was under the disguise of like, him caring and like if I was available to hang out or this or that. Um, and because pretty, he had had a few like serious relationships before. He was a little older. Um, and so I kind of like interpreted that as like, oh, that's what love is. Like, that's how we, like, he just really must love me that much. Um, and so I kind of learned in a weird way that, like, what is wrong?
Sorry, no technical difficulty. We're good. Please go ahead.
Okay. Um, shit, sorry. So I think I was saying I just like took that as like that's how love is supposed to be. When you're in love with somebody,
Yeah.
you're all in, you're all infatuated, you need to know this and that and so at first like that's really what I thought. And then there were times like as the time went on, it went, more like more a little more like I told you when I was at my friend's house and I had all those missed calls or if I was hanging out with friends and he would just get mad like and stuff like that. So it definitely uh changed. But I just was thinking about how it was interesting for that being my first real relationship that I didn't understand that that for him to say he was obsessed with me in the first place is a little weird. Like that should be a little bit of a flag. Like
Right.
among the other things, like if that was the only thing, okay. But the little other things all put together, because I was all in love and thought that when you meet your person, that's just how it's supposed to be. But he definitely then like cheated and stuff. So I became very like, where are you? Like I needed more confirmation and like, who are you
Mhm.
hanging out with? And like,
Right.
it kind of turned on that way. And then so after that relationship, I think I mentioned this in the last episode that me and my current boyfriend or husband, um, I had a lot of trust issues at first, like, and I was kind of, oh, it was, we were talking about projecting, I think. And I was
Mhm.
saying I projected on him what I had experienced. So I was more like, well, who are you hanging out with? And da da da, because I was worried the same thing was going to happen. And it took a
Mhm.
while for me to realize, like, they're not the same people. He is trustworthy and blah, 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 blah. So it's just interesting how I know that seems like just a long rant. In my
No,
head,
not
it
at
makes
all.
sense as like far as just like learning. It was weird learning that, I guess, in a different way because I thought it was a positive thing, that control,
Right.
Mhm.
that obsessiveness and stuff.
You thought it meant he
Thought it,
Where
cared.
do you Yeah.
what?
Oh, I said you thought it meant he cared.
Yeah, I thought that equaled love. Like, oh, he just loves me that much. And so it's just interesting coming from that place to like what I obviously know now and view differently. So
And when do you think that it changed? Like at what point were you like, okay, this is no longer just he loves me and this is how much he loves me or how he shows his love, but this is like abuse or this is unhealthy.
probably definitely within the first year, um, I want to say maybe like 6 months ish because like I said, I always hung out with my friends. I had a lot of guy friends, um, like from high school, but we were literally just friends. I know I said I had crushes on them, which I did in high school, but that was a teenager thing, but we were still like just good friends. And they would always like they would hang out at my house a lot. And for me it got weird when my ex would get really upset if they were over and he wasn't there, or even sometimes if he was just in a bad mood, it was like, why are they here and blah blah blah. Like that's where it really I started to be like, that's like nothing weird is happening here. Like I
Right.
couldn't quite understand why he was angry about it. But he definitely was like trying to create a rift or whatever between me and my friends, so which unfortunately worked for a while. So but that's really when I was just like, okay, if you actually cared about me, like you would want me to be happy hanging out with my friends.
Yeah.
Like for example, my grandpa died, um and I was really upset about it. I was really close with my grandpa, and um I was I was at work when I found out, and one of my best friends from high school, he I called him, told him because like we were really close, and he's like, I'm coming. So he like came to my work. He took me to lunch, and then like I ended up leaving the rest of my shift. But so he was just like trying to make it nice, like hanging out and trying to get my mind off of it, but also like trying to be there for support. And then my ex had lived down a couple city. He lived about like an hour away south, and so he wasn't there. Um, but so he got mad when I talked to him and I told him that I was hanging out with my friends and about my grandpa, and like he got, yeah, really weird about it. And I'm like, I just lost my grandpa, and like I would think you would want me to have support. Like,
Yeah.
so the fact that he didn't like that and he seemed very jealous was not, that didn't resonate very well with me.
Do you
That's a
think it was that at that moment that you kind of were like it really solidified for you, like a person that loves me really should want me to have support?
Yeah, that was part of it. Sorry, my headphones are like kind of falling down. Um,
Okay.
that was definitely part of it. I don't, there's so much in that happened,
Yeah.
that relationship. It's hard to like know for sure. I
Yeah.
will tell you that the last the last conversation I had with my grandpa on the phone, like, because he was in the hospital and he knew like he was dying. He died of pancreatic cancer, and so I got to talk to him on the phone one last time, like that we knew it was the last time, and he told me that I needed to find like a nice guy who respected me and stuff. And I can't remember his exact wording, but I mean, he seemed fine with my boyfriend at the time, but me and my grandpa were really close. And so him saying that, like, alluding to, like, I don't think this is the person for you. It doesn't seem healthy, you know?
Yeah.
And he didn't even know, like, anything about what, what went on. But that hit me a certain way too, because I was just like, okay, like, he doesn't even know the details of things, but he feels it enough to be like, hey, you need to go find somebody who cares about you. So
that's so meaningful to have as a conversation with your grandpa though too. Like
Yeah.
I feel like that would be a very impactful conversation. The fact that he took the time to be like, "Hey, you deserve more," is just
yeah,
such a great. I don't know. In the moment, we don't like it, right? In the moment, we're like, sometimes when we get other people's opinions, we're like,
yeah,
no, thank you. But
Yeah.
it does sound like in that moment too, though, that you were kind of at that place as well,
yeah,
and he was just reading it from you. And so,
yeah,
what a
Yeah.
great confirmation from somebody that is close in your life that could, I guess, facilitate the next step in maybe
yeah.
moving on.
And it was just really special because we were really close. I grew up, I spent a lot of time with him. I tell people like my relationship with my grandpa was probably the most healthy relationship I've ever had with a male adult. Like he was just, I don't know, we had so much fun together. And so yeah, it did mean a lot. And I was already in the spot of knowing it wasn't right, probably the relationship, but also, I don't know, it got complicated. I'll talk more about that, I'm sure, in many coming episodes, but there's a lot there. But unfortunately, even after the conversation with my grandpa, still was with him for like another like 4 years or something.
I mean, it takes
So
time.
Yeah, it takes a long time.
Getting out of those things, like, first of all, it has to be okay. It has to be valuable for you to leave at the time, right? Like, there's so many things at play. Like, some people can't just leave a relationship. And then also, maybe you hadn't hit that point yet where you're like, okay, the discomfort of me staying is not outweighing the potential discomfort of me leaving. And like, that's a very valid place to be in. And sometimes it takes us a few years to get through that,
yeah.
especially if, like, I don't know, we get in this idea of like, will there ever be anybody else?
Mm-hmm.
I feel like that pops in anybody's head whenever they're thinking about ending a relationship. Will there ever
Yeah.
be anybody else?
Well, and
And I've
especially
invested
when,
so much time now, you know.
yeah,
Mm-hmm.
and especially when the person has like broken down your self-confidence and everything so much, it's even easier to believe that. Like, I
Right.
don't know if anybody else could love me. And yeah, that gets pretty rough.
What is that? There's a fallacy, sunk cost fallacy kind of thing. Like, you just assume that you've been in it so long, you might as well keep going instead of
Mm-hmm.
like
Yeah.
that, instead of just letting it go and cutting your loss and being
Mm-hmm.
like, you know what? Yeah, I made a mistake. That shouldn't. But then again, I don't know if I view personally, I don't know if I view any relationship as a mistake as much as I do a learning opportunity and a lesson.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
it's just one more thing that helps you grow into who you are.
Yeah.
And it takes a
I
little bit of
agree.
distance from the situation to like realize it's a learning opportunity and a growth
Absolutely.
point.
Yeah.
Because when you're in it, you know, it's like, "Whew, I made a mistake. I made a big boo boo, you know, and then trying to like get okay with that and move forward. That's really difficult. That's really
Yeah.
hard.
Mm-hmm.
I just want to give us all a pat on the back real quick and just say like we got down to it this episode, and I really appreciate your vulnerability, Amber. Mel, like, thank you so much for all the
Yeah, you
questions
guys.
and all of the guidance on this topic. Because yeah, this is a deep one, and
Yeah.
I'm really glad that we covered it. Um, you know, we didn't address it a whole lot in the chat, but if you guys watched this, you identified with somebody's story, you had questions or something that you wanted to share, we just want to remind everybody to please email us at t3live@proton.me. You'll get one of us directly. We can kind of talk about things, or if you're going through this situation, again, the National Crisis Hotline is 988. But at the same time, I think there is a little bit of room there for people to talk to us about what they have going on. So,
Absolutely.
Yeah.
yeah, we're here for you. And to kind of
Yeah.
shift us into a lighter note before we wrap up, we've been talking about using the last couple minutes of our segment to, or of our live stream, to talk about things that are making us happy, things that are inspiring, things that are getting us through, whether that be a movie, a show, music, something new that you've bought. So, does anybody want to go first? Does anybody have anything inspiring to share?
Okay, this might be so silly, but naps have really been getting me through. Okay, so just a little backstory. I was never much of a napper. Like, I really struggled with naps up until this last year, probably. And then all of a sudden, I started embracing the bliss of a nap. And now
Seriously.
I'm like, okay, I am naps forward all the way. Like, I've been taking
Yep.
naps after work. That's wild for me.
Those are the
Like,
best.
oh,
Yeah.
but no, it's been really saving my sanity, also my Wellbutrin. So,
Mm,
Yeah.
yes. Yeah, I'm the same way. I identify a lot with that, Mel. Like I was never a napper. I was a hardcore like 2 feet in the mud. No, I'm not napping. I'm just gonna like down another energy drink
yeah,
or a coffee. And now, like as I've gotten older, it really 20 minutes. It really can
Yep.
make a huge difference. So I feel you. How about you,
Me
Amber?
too. Well, I definitely feel the nap thing also, for sure. Um, but my thing, it's not like inspiring. It's just what I've been watching a lot. So because I watched Obsession, and then I've been watching a lot of reactions to it and conversations about it on YouTube. And then I've watched a couple other documentaries, like true crime documentaries on Netflix about like relationship, domestic violence type stuff. I forget what they're called, but I'm one of those people that can put on true crime and fall asleep. So to me, it's not like, and actually, there are stories I already knew, the ones that I watched on Netflix, which is
mm-hmm.
how much true crime I actually consume. Is like, oh, I remember this one, and then like, yeah, it's kind of bad, but um, yeah, I don't know. So I know that's like kind of weird,
No,
but
No,
not
not
at
at
all.
all. So true crime's been your
yeah,
excitement lately.
yeah, I
That's
guess so.
really
Yeah,
given some peace.
true crime and obsession reviews.
Fair.
Nice. Okay.
What about you,
And
Margaret?
I have been on my Audible or whatever it's called, Libby audiobook kick. I just finished one called, oh man, of course I don't have it in front of me. I want to say it's like dark folklore or something like that, but it was a quick read. It was just about like different folklore cryptids throughout
Ooh.
the world. Yeah, it's pretty cool. It was pretty cool, and their similarities and where they come from and all of that. And then as far as TV goes, as always, I have been trying to catch up on my Housewives. Now I have come into the Housewives game late,
Me
so
too.
I did not feel as though I could start currently. I felt like I had to earn my badge of Housewives commitment. So
Mm-hmm.
I have completely caught up on Beverly Hills Housewives. I am current.
Yes.
I am now working on, and have been for the last several months, working on the Orange County Housewives. So I am on season 7 of the Orange County Housewives, and love it. I love it. It's amazing.
It's amazing. No, I'm all there for you with Beverly Hills.
Yeah, love it.
I've watched every season of Beverly Hills and
Love
I'm
it.
here for it. Here for it.
Same.
Oh,
I'm a
geez,
Kyle
man.
stan through
Yeah.
and through. I love
Kyle,
Kyle. I will die for Kyle. I love her.
absolutely.
Yeah.
1,000%.
Yeah.
I have no idea.
Oh,
It's okay. It's all
I
right.
watched the
It's
New
you
Jersey
don't want
one
to
way
know.
back a long time ago.
Yeah, okay, I haven't started that one at all. I'm
I
trying to take
liked
it
that one.
one group of characters at a time, but really how it started was that I was watching Traitors, and I love that show. But then I didn't know who half the people were. And so now I'm getting a little bit more context as I've gone on. So and Traitors is also a fantastic show for anybody who's interested in reality.
great.
Well, thank you guys so much as always. I really appreciate you guys and your
Yes.
vulnerability and talking about things. And thank you for whoever watched. And like I
Like,
said,
follow, subscribe.
email. Like, follow, subscribe, comment, all the things. Anything helps. Share it if you want
Yeah.
to. And we just really appreciate it.
Yeah.
And
Let us know what
next
you think.
week,
Oh, sorry. I cut you off.
go ahead.
I was just
Yeah.
gonna say, let us know what you think in the comments, and if you have any ideas or things that you want us to talk about, feel free to do that in the email or the comments.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. Yep.
But
Okay, until next week, guys.
See you next time.
Bye.